also put the caveat when healthy.
When healthy,
Julius
very
Randle,
true.
who was also named to the All-Star team, he is not healthy with the shoulder right now. They don't have their starting center, Mitchell Robinson, and they lost OG Anunoby, who they traded for. So they get these guys back, or at least you get Anunoby back first, and they have the makings of a team that can definitely make a run like we saw Miami Heat did last year with Jimmy Butler as a centerpiece, and all these guys that just understand their roles, know them, and a team that plays hard. And what you don't want to be is a team that plays them, especially if you're like one of these cake eater, I'm like good all year type teams, then you play them in the first round. Like, this is a team that is going to come after you, and they're going to, I know Legg said this, Tim Legler said this recently on ESPN, and I thought it was the best thing to say. Every night they're going to outwork you. They might not out-talent you, but they're going to outwork you, and they're never going to let go. A game like last night was a perfect example. They had 4 missing key pieces to their rotation.
Every reason to pack it up.
Every reason. It's the middle of the season. It's the dog days of the NBA season. You're already won 8 in a row. This is the time to go, all right, it's not our night. But they would never, they just wouldn't lay down.
Sure wouldn't.
And they pulled out yet another win.
Pretty exciting, fun story brewing up the road here in New York at Madison Square Garden with the Knicks. And he wasn't just having a good season prior to this injury. He was outperforming his 2022-2023 season in which he won MVP. One problem, though, there's a new rule this year. He has to play at least 65 games to qualify for that award, thanks to that new rule in the NBA's new CBA. Played 66 games last season, so the question now becomes, is that 65-game minimum, that new rule that says in order to be eligible for the postseason awards, you have to play at least 65 of your team's 82 games. Is that going to cost Joel Embiid a second straight MVP award?
No, that won't, because it's the knee that's going to cost him. I mean, the numbers are great this year. There's no question about it. But he's also playing, and then he takes a couple of games off, then he plays. That is the issue, the knee, and the concern for the knee. And well before the meniscus injury and that scary fall we're showing you right here, which Kuminga lands right on it, you can see he's in obvious pain. If you were watching this game, and I was, and I'm sure, Monica, you were too, he was already dragging that leg up and down the floor. Like, he already was showing you that knee was bothering him. We have seen him enough during this season where that knee is now starting to get worse and worse and worse. Now this injury comes up. I don't think the rule is going to come into play because I think the knee is going to be the bigger issue.
It is unfortunate that injuries are a part of the game. And yes, the conversation will be the 65 minimum, but you're right, the knee is the primary thing. I just think there's 2 things that are missing to me in the conversation about the minimum. One, everybody is acting like it was just the players, and as if the entire league and medical staffs and front offices and coaches were not also complicit in how we got here to requiring a minimum. The second part of it to me is I understand the guys feeling like they are being penalized if they're injured, but at the same time, if a guy manages to stay healthy, they should have the same opportunity and maybe even be given more credit in terms of hitting some of the accolades that trigger monetary benefits in their contracts. And so this is unfortunate. I personally, if I'm the Sixers, I don't care about 65. I don't care about the MVP. At this point, you need him to be as healthy as possible in the postseason because this window is fleeting.
And that gets to the heart of why they feel like they needed the rule, right? Because the point of the rule is to disincentivize sitting guys, right? And sitting guys out for regular season games. But we have a situation now where he obviously is injured and can't play. So it leads to questions about whether the rule is fair. Is it fair?
Of course it's fair. Well, first of all,
life ain't fair. But anyway, go ahead.
There you go. No, and I'm with you. Like that's where I was going. It's the whole idea that that's the reason we have rules, right?
Right.
And Monica, what you said is, I'm glad you said it because it's not being talked about enough. We blame the players for this rule. Well, if you didn't sit out so much, if we didn't have people like Kyrie and others who just sat out because they wanted to sit out, not because they were actually hurt, if we had guys that were talking more about how playing 82 games, that's really hard, it's too much on my body, whatever it is, we made it a science to not play a sport. Like, I can't imagine NFL players telling them, you know what, it's better off if you don't play this weekend. Hell no, you got to play, you want to play. And most players in the NBA want to play every game. But this didn't start with just players. This started with Greg Popovich wanting to make a point about the schedule and back-to-backs. And wait a minute, I played on a Wednesday. Now Thursday I'm playing on TNT. No, I'm sitting Ginobili and Duncan and all those guys out of spite. Starts there, and we call it rest. We made it a science, and now it became an excuse. And then other players took it. So what you said is it's absolutely correct. It's why we got here. But now we have to make rules just to inspire players to want to play. Look at the in-season tournament. Stephen A. said this. He was right. You put $500,000 on the table, How hard did these guys play?
So I think that the hope was obviously that it would make the rule would take care of this problem, but obviously it hasn't. I assume the NBA will continue to address it.